Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, January 18th, 2023. This is live stream 876. If this is your first time joining me, let me point out, it's super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and taking a first look at a tabletop game. And tonight is another Wargame Wednesday, as we are going to be diving on into Skies Above Britain from GMT Games. For some reason, I guarantee you I'm going to call this by a different title. At some point, when we're talking about this game, I am going to call it something other than Skies Above Britain, because it's actually the third in a series of games. There is Skies Above the Reich and Storm Above the Reich. And for some reason, even today, when I posted on Twitter, hey, this is what's coming up on tonight's show, I forget what I called it. But it wasn't Skies Above the Reich. It was, Skies Above Britain. See, right there. Right there. It took me 2 minutes to screw it up. It's probably a record that I actually was able to hang around that long without messing it up. Anyway, that is what's on the agenda for tonight. But of course, you already know we tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So if you're not overly familiar with this show, we're going to talk about the latest tabletop gaming news of the day. Then we will jump on into Skies Above Britain. Maybe I should just say it like that. Slower and louder so that I understand. Maybe. Anyway, so if you're tuning in because you want to see the unboxing of Skies Above Britain, please keep in mind, be probably about 35-40 minutes before we jump on in. So if you're just kicking back, watching this right now, put your feet up, relax. It's hump day. You're halfway to the weekend. Celebrate. But of course, if you happen to be watching this 30 minutes or more after the stream ends, well, then there are going to be timestamps so you can jump past the tabletop gaming news if you would like. If you're that impatient that you got to get to that unboxing, you will be able to do so. Those timestamps are located in the show notes. And depending on the device you might be watching this on, those timestamps might be right there in the timeline in front of you. So there is that. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel, including Sammy Uhas's reviews of the Drift Crashers Adventure Path for Starfinder, which you will find the second and third chapter reviews later on this week. Lastly, this is live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you happen to be a subscriber to the channel and you've been a subscriber for 48 hours or more, you can take part in chat. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, such as also not posting chat on screen. That tends to deter some of the stranger commenters as well. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I'll do my best to respond. First out the gate, before the stream even started, was the Happy Wargamer. So we also have Kathy Evans, Dan Wheeler, Liquid Nebula, Testy Trekkie is with us saying, I can't believe it's not butter. Flaming Heron, the first of our chat moderators, is with us, as is Stray Kismet, Kevin R. Smith, and Raphael Mores. Hopefully I came close on that pronunciation. I believe it is Raphael's first visit with us in chat, or it might be his 20th visit, and I'm just lousy at remembering nicknames and names in chat. But I think it's more the former as opposed to the latter. And Vaughn Moore is with us as well. So we got chat off and running tonight. Very nice, very nice. So let's jump right on into the news, because arriving in February from Lynnvander Studios is Minotaur. Here's the latest. Minotaur is a completely cooperative dungeon crawler style game where players work together in an attempt to plunder the riches of the labyrinth, all while overcoming or avoiding traps and monsters. The most terrifying of these is the immortal Minotaur, who never rests for long in its hunt. Minotaur is a game inspired by classic dungeon crawling video games, where players explored maps one screen at a time, with the entire screen scrolling when moving to a new area. It is designed to evoke the feeling of being huddled together around a single screen, working through that dungeon together. It's a quick game that's easy to teach, but offers quite a bit of challenge with a fair touch of nostalgia mixed in for good measure. Minotaur is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 45 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $29.99 when it hits stores on February 2nd. Yes, Flaming Heron points out they like the pixelized look of this. Looks like 8-bit graphics. Those old 8-bit graphics, yes. Gosh, I remember way back in the day when it was kind of like, oh, hey, you've got an Atari 2600? Oh my gosh. Is your family rich? And then some friends had ColecoVision. It was like, oh my gosh, look at those graphics. It's amazing. So this is a throwback to the old school 8-bit graphic look. This could be kind of cool. And it plays out in 45 minutes, so it's not something that's going to be going on for hours upon hours. Another dungeon delving game is receiving a third printing. That's right. Dungeon Degenerates Hand of Doom is returning from Goblinko. Here's what I know about the game. Dungeon Degenerates Hand of Doom takes place in the dark fantasy realm of the decaying eastern provinces of the WWII. Players escape criminal adventurers on an unsavory mission through 4 distinct regions, each with their own monsters and encounters. As the players explore the WWII, danger levels rise continuously across the map. Players must complete their mission before the Hand of Doom descends on the board, unleashing evil magic on the land. Dungeon Degenerates is for 1 to 4 players, and it is cooperative. Players can form parties or split up throughout the game at will. There's no obligation to stick together. Gameplay is 1 to 3 hours based on the mission. Dungeon Degenerates has an epic RPG campaign feel and an open world sandbox board game, and you bring your experience and items from previous missions. There are multiple missions and objectives of varying difficulty, with multiple ways to approach each mission. Dungeon Degenerates is set in a cohesive and fixed world, with multiple distinct regions which feature unique encounters and thematic monsters. Encounters allow multiple interaction choices. You do not have to fight everyone you see. Play features an open experience system allowing for a character customization with new skills. You are always in danger. The town is not an artificial safe zone, and combat is dangerous. There are various modes of travel. Players cooperate to choose their route and pace, or split up and fend for themselves. Dungeon Degenerates features streamlined combat with tactical depth. Each player rolls dice only once on their turn, using standard six-sided dice only. There are also over 100 monsters with unique abilities and artwork. Dungeon Degenerates Hand of Doom is for 1 to 4 players, ages 16 and up, plays in 1 to 3 hours, and does carry an MSRP of $99. So, my understanding is this was a relatively recent successful Kickstarter to bring this third printing of Dungeon Degenerates to the public. And I do believe that there is a lot of additional content that has been released for this already. And I got to admit, the art style is pretty unique. And I'm trying to remember the artist's name, who was pretty famous for their funny car artwork back in like the 70s. For some reason I want to say Don Bell, but I don't think that was their name. There were a couple. There were a couple artists. And in fact, one of the artists was famous for a character called Rat Fink. And another one, I think, said Daddy Don Carlin, something along those lines. So it kind of, the artwork to me kind of brings back that kind of memory here. So Vaughn says these first two games both appear to have great art direction. Yeah, I got to say, this is very, very unique. So very nice. So let's move on to some role-playing game news, because currently up on Kickstarter for Ace Game Books is the Box of Delights, the role-playing game. And here's the scoop. The Box of Delights, the role-playing game, is an adaptation of John Masefield's Christmas children's classic, written by Jonathan Green and illustrated by Tony Hugh, the creators of Twas, the role-playing game before Christmas, and licensed through the Society of Authors, the literary representative of the estate of John Masefield. The Box of Delights, the role-playing game, is a rules-light RPG designed to be picked up and played with minimal preparation. Players take on the roles of Kay Harker and the Jones children as they experience the events of the book firsthand, encountering the mysterious Punch and Judy man and becoming embroiled in the sinister plot being perpetrated by the wizard Abner Brown. Damn you, Abner Brown! And becoming embroiled in the sinister plot from his coven of wolf-worshipping witches, say that 3 times fast, around the winter solstice in the run-up to Christmas. The Box of Delights, the role-playing game, is ideal for a festive gaming session with an established group, or even as an alternative to the games usually played on Christmas Day. So I wish there were more images that I could share with you from this Kickstarter. If you actually go to the Kickstarter page, you will find like the images you're looking at here, like individual images of the character artwork, but they're really small. So, and unfortunately, the video for this Kickstarter has copyright music. So I can't use that, can't share that video with that music Otherwise, I get a copyright flag. So don't want that either. But and I could have shared the video without any sound, but it's like 3 minutes long. So rather not just have you in silence for 3 minutes. So unfortunately, would have liked to have gotten that out. Dan Wheeler says that he's got to rock out. So thank you very much. Thanks for swinging on in, Dan. We'll see you next time. Anyway, you can reserve a physical copy of the Box of Delights for a $29 pledge. This is going to be fulfilled through Drive-Thru RPG. So on top of that $29 pledge, if you're getting the physical book, you do have to pay the printing and postage costs from Drive-Thru RPG. Or you can just grab the PDF alone for a $19 pledge through February 13th. Expected delivery is prior to next Christmas. So that's important. I was going to say, because, I find it kind of funny when we run across these Kickstarters for something holiday specific. And the Kickstarter actually starts like right before that holiday. And I get on one hand where it's sort of like, well, people are thinking about that holiday right now. So sure, that helps the Kickstarter. But then it's like, yeah, okay, so it's for Christmas and it's going to come out in September of next year. It's like, okay. So, I mean, in some ways, the Box of Delights is launching at the right time because you will actually have it in your hands before next Christmas. So take a peek. Arriving next month from Monte Cook Games is Stealing Stories from the Devil. And here's what I know. Stealing Stories from the Devil is a fast-paced tabletop role-playing game by legendary designer Monte Cook. So hold on a second. I've seen two different titles for this. One is Stealing Stories for the Devil, and the other is Stealing Stories from the Devil. So it's like, so which is it? All right, let's say it's Stealing Stories for the Devil. It's a fast-paced tabletop role-playing game by legendary designer Monte Cook, in which you save existence as we know it by bending reality to carry out the perfect heist. Getting in, getting out, the disguises, the smooth talking and careful bluffs, the stealth, the hacking, and when the moment requires it, the quick action, and above all, the beautiful plan, so carefully researched and crafted. Oh, you're good at it, you and your friends. You do the impossible. It's never as easy as it seems, like it ever seems easy, but you pull it off every time. And you look good doing it. Bond, Ocean, Neo, yeah, they're okay. You're the real deal. Because you're not just master thieves, you're master thieves from the future. And better yet, you're liars. A special kind of liar. When you lie to reality, it believes you. A door where there wasn't one before. A lock someone forgot to check. A guard who looks away just now. If the mission isn't going right, you fix it. You change the rules. You take control of reality itself. The boxed set for Stealing Stories for or from the Devil arrives February 8th. It's going to carry an MSRP of $69.99. And the funny thing is, I'm looking right at the, I don't know if that's the box cover I just showed, but the for or from is so small I can't see it. I can't tell. So this sounds very unique. This is very different. We usually see Monte Cook Games release some unusual sort of role-playing games that are not just the same old, same old. Although I have to admit, this artwork seems kind of bland. I mean, not the cover art. That's pretty cool. but the interior artwork that I'm sharing with you, not very exciting. I mean, it's kind of like, okay. All right. So our friend Shan from Taiwan is with us. Jesus Nava is in chat with us as well. And I think, oh, there we go. I was going to say, I think someone else had popped in. And I was right. 245 Trioxin is in the house with us. So welcome aboard, everybody. All right. So my final news piece following a successful Kickstarter, Spellsword Studios has released the fantasy role playing game Realms of Peril in PDF. Here's the latest. Whoa there, friend. Indeed, you have come to the right place, but heed this warning. Venture not into these perilous realms of fantastic sword and sorcery, lest ye be of stout mind and steely nerve, for within these pages lie the gates to a wicked world of magic, mystery, devilry, and danger. Foul monsters and gleaming treasures await the courageous or foolhardy. Many will perish, but some cunning. I've got a cunning plan, me lord. And lucky souls will rise to greatness. What adventure will you pursue? What terror will you face? What treasure will you uncover? Let us proceed to find out. So, what are you waiting for? Be brave and stay sharp. Triumph is within your grasp, but it's not safe to go alone. Gather your party and go forth to gold and glory. The time is now. Your adventure begins here. The Adventurer's Field Guide is a complete rulebook containing everything you need as a player to learn how to play, create unique adventures, and advance your characters into powerful movers and shakers in the world. It is 80 pages, soft spot color, soft touch, staple bound zine if you pick up the physical copies. Game Master's Handbook is an indispensable reference manual for new and seasoned GMs, full of clear and concise procedures, enlightened tips, best practices, and inspiring content to help every session come alive. This also clocks in, at 80 pages. So right now you can score the 80-page Realms of Peril Adventurer's Field Guide, as well as the 80-page Realms of Peril Game Master's Handbook in PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG for $4.99 each. And I must say, this looks interesting. I know some folks out there sit there and they kind of scratch their head and they're like, what's with all these retro clones and OSR and new SR, and aren't these games all the same? No, that is not the case. Even the retro clones are not identical. So this is supposed to be rules light, but it has an old school Renaissance vibe to it. And Spellsword Studios has released other things as well. And what is the one? I shared a news piece for it a while back because it looked really interesting. I think it's called Ills of Ilmire. If I remember right, I think it's an adventure. So take a peek. Plus, come on, they're $5 each, $10 for 160 pages of content. Could be very, very interesting. So Mr. Eddie T is with us. So we've got 2 of our 4 chat moderators. I will take a stab in the dark that Miss Sarah D is with us as well. Roger P is joining us also. So pretty good chat rocking and rolling right now, everybody. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And thankfully, there are folks out there who use the banner ads and swing on over to paypal.me to help keep thegaminggang.com around. Thank you very, very much. Because if you're fairly new to the channel, you may not realize I don't do a Patreon. I don't sit there doing Kickstarters to keep the gaming gang around. I really don't reach on into your pockets to provide you the gaming content you seem to enjoy a bit. So yes, Sarah D is with us. Says, "Don't stab in the dark. That's where I'm hiding." You know, it was funny. I was gonna make some wisecrack about it. And I was like, nah, I guess I'll just leave it as is. All righty then. Before we jump on into Skies Above Britain, I wanted to mention that I finally got around to watching Wednesday on Netflix, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty well done. I was actually surprised by how many episodes Tim Burton directed. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I like the fact that Christina Ricci was in it. I thought, oh hey, that's a nice little nod to the past. So I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody out there who has not seen it yet, who's planning on watching it. But if anybody in chat has seen it, I'm wondering if you felt the same way. So the show wrapped up, and like I said, I like this. I'm hoping Netflix doesn't cancel it, which I don't think they will, because I understand. I think it's been very popular. Plus, there's a lot of the Wednesday dance memes out there too. But here was what I was thinking when the show wrapped up. Outside of a few appearances by other members of the Addams family, that really could have been any character. It didn't have to be Wednesday Addams. So I was like, because the reality, once again, not so Fleming here and said, watch Wednesday and Wednesday. No, I actually watched it Sunday and Monday. So, but yeah, I just kind of sat there, and when it wrapped up, I thought to myself, well, I liked it. I mean, and it you know, it could have been Sabrina, the thing. And yes, of course, Wednesday's got that sour personality and everything. So that was kind of, entertaining, interesting. But I don't know. Like I said, it's to me, it just felt like you could have plugged Nancy Drew into it, and it probably wouldn't have been that much different. So I'm curious if other people out there who watched it kind of had that same feeling as well when it wrapped up, and you're like, it could have been any young teenager investigating that mystery. But like I said, I did like it. So something else I did want to mention is that I made some more adjustments to the audio. Hopefully the audio sounds okay. I know it's in sync, knock on wood. But I'm always messing around with the audio. But I know somebody last night had mentioned that there was a huge difference between my volume level talking and the volume level for the intermission, or I actually I noticed when I took a peek at last night's video, it was the Kickstarter video was like, holy cow, like wow. So Mr. Eddie T's asking if my shoulder stopped hurting. No, it has not. It is. I haven't taken anything. I'm just dealing with it today. But That's why I kind of have, you don't see it, but I kind of have my arm kind of kind of folded here. Flaming Heron says audio is perfect, except that it's my voice. I get that. Completely understand that. All right, we're going to dive on into Skies Above Britain from GMT Games in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
All aboard the snack bar special for Coca-Cola, peanuts, hot dogs, ice cream, candy. That's the snack bar special for Coca-Cola, peanuts, hot dogs. Whatever your choice from the snack bar, things go better with Coke.
When I was 17 and courting Josephine, her pa kept asking me to shoot. But I faced up to his muzzle and offered him a guzzle of that friendly, hypey, good old Mountain Dew.
Yahoo! Mountain Dew!
It'll tickle your innards.
Next question. What do you think of Wilkins coffee?
It's wonderful, delicious.
You see, friends?
Now pay me the $10.
That's a good idea. I do feel a little hungry and thirsty.
Okay, let's go to the lobby for a snack. Whoa! Hey, where are you all going?
Why, we're going to the lobby for some of that delicious popcorn.
Popcorn? Hey, wait for old Tex. I'm hungry, too.
Hi there, Tex. Have some popcorn. Beats hay any day.
Well, dust my britches. Just look at that. Candy, popcorn, cold drinks, everything.
That's right, folks.
Wonkins lives! Yes! I have to admit, I had never seen these hillbilly Mountain Dew commercials before. Before I started, kind of searching things out to share with the brief intermission, I thought it was pretty bizarre. And I guess it turns out I did not research this as much as I should have. Kind of stumbled across it. I guess Mountain Dew has a tie-in to like moonshiners back in the day. So I think maybe for Monday's show, I will share another one of these oddball Mountain Dew commercials, and I will find out exactly what that was. Kevin says that cowboy's in really good shape. Something else I noticed with that last commercial was they didn't even bother to like overlay the audio. So as soon as the woman in the audience starts talking, you no longer hear anything from the movie. It's like, So Kevin says, I've heard the Yahoo Mountain Dew slogan before, but had never seen the commercials. I got to be honest, I had never heard that Yahoo Mountain Dew. There was one I saw, one commercial, it's pretty funny, and it's about a minute long, but I have yet to be able to track it down in halfway decent quality to share with you. So if I put it in the brief intermission, it's I think it's like 240p. I mean, it's pretty bad. All right, let's move on into our first look, because tonight I'm going to unbox and take a first look at Skies Above Britain from GMT Games. It's designed by Jeremy White and Gina Willis, with artwork and graphic design provided by Jeremy White and Gina Willis, as well as Antonis Karadis, and I think Mark Simonich has a credit on this as well. This game is for one player, ages 14 and up, plays in 20 minutes or more because one patrol is supposed to last about 20 to 30 minutes. So, of course, it's all going to depend on the scenario. And this carries an MSRP of $99. So, Kevin R. Smith says that explains a lot. Supposedly, Mountain Dew is incredibly popular in Appalachia. All right. So, Flaming Heron says Mountain Dew was originally Southern and or Scots Irish for moonshine. I knew that. But I mean, the actual soda itself has some sort of connection with moonshiners. So that I did not, delve further into it. But I will. I'll take a peek. But yes, I had heard Mountain Dew referred to, as moonshine. That's why they got the jug. That's why they're showing the jug of Mountain Dew. And what was it? It tickles your innards? It's like, okay. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Skies Above Britain. So before we jump in, do you want to point out the fine folks over at GMT Games were kind enough to provide me with his review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. And these days, of course, it's important that you know that. All right, let's take a look at the back here. Skies Above Britain is a solitaire game depicting a Royal Air Force fighter squadron tasked to disrupt and destroy German daylight bombing raids over southeast England in the summer of 1940. The player's individual aircraft must locate the incoming raid, intercept it, and evade or defeat escorting German fighters. The game simulates dogfighting and fighter versus bomber action at an individual aircraft level using a card-assisted system that simulates key tactical decision-making. The player can fly scenarios representing an individual patrol or use the situation manual to create individual patrols, multi-patrol campaigns, or larger campaigns covering the entire Battle of Britain. Each patrol will take a half hour or more to play, while a campaign may last anywhere between 6 and 28 patrols. Unlike its predecessors, Skies Above the Reich and Storm Above the Reich, here the bombers are lightly armed and are at the mercy of determined interceptors. But the German escort is brutal, and their tactical formation of the Rat and Schwarm are difficult to contend with. Skies Above Britain shifts detail from encounters between fighter and bomber to dogfights between fighter and escort. Will you strike the bombers from a high flank angle, to get a safer shot, or make a daring head-on attack to break their formation apart? Will you split your squadron to engage escorting Messerschmitts before they bounce you from out of the sun, or will you charge into the bombers? You decide. So as we can see, this has a complexity of 5 on a scale of 1 to 9. I say it all the time. I think GMT lowballs their complexity a little. So, not a ton, but a tick. And it is a solitaire game, so obviously enough, it would have a solitaire suitability of 9. So that is maxed out. This is a pretty heavy box. I do know that we are going to encounter a bunch of tiles and stickers if it's anything like the other games in the series. So you actually need to place those onto the stickers onto the tiles. So we've got optionals. We've got our situation manual. We've got our rule book. Pretty hefty. These are pretty hefty. All right. So let's start jumping on into these. Scoot that out of the way. So we've got our introduction, how to play. The rulebook is organized to support learning the game by playing scenarios. After reading the introduction, read the dogfight section and play the first scenarios in the situation manual. Player aids present the sequence of play in its entirety and have page references to this rule book. So when you're ready to play a full patrol, you can rely on them to guide you. We start with a dogfight cycle because it can be initiated in a variety of ways during a patrol. Okay. So, little newbie box. That's kind of cool. You don't have to read the entire rule book to start playing. Read this introductory section and then the dogfight section. You'll be ready to play the dogfight scenarios in the situation manual. Nice, sweet. Well, as we can see, we're going to have a lot of images. So we've got squadron display and the 12-sided die, the stickered blocks. So I guess there aren't a ton of blocks. It looks like there's 32, 36. Okay. So the game space. So we've got the game board, our squadron display, RAF formations, dogfight cycle. So Kevin Smith says, all right, the original Mountain Dew was developed as a mixer to be combined with whiskey. Note that the formula today is different. They changed it in 1958. Cool. Okay. So it does have some relation to booze. Kevin says, nice little modular introduction. There are a few war games that do that kind of walk you through the process. I think probably the most famous is Conflict of Heroes: Awakening the Bear from Academy Games, where it's a pretty crunchy war game, but just the way that it's presented, that, okay, so you're going to play this scenario and it's just infantry, and okay, now we've got infantry and support weapons. Oh, okay, now we got infantry and cover, things along those lines. Really makes teaching someone how to play pretty easy. All right, so we've got maneuvers. We've got evade, slip, turn. Got our dogfight cards. So we've got head-on, tailed. So it's determining how to determine tailing and head-on. I think head-on would be pretty obvious. So we had some examples of dogfights. Hit checks. It's what you're going to be rolling your D12 for. So we've got our bomber cycle. So, of course, you're intercepting Luftwaffe bombers. We've got our interception sequence. It's interesting because I notice a lot of times with many solitaire war games, they tend to be far more complex than a two-player or a multiplayer war game. And I think a lot of times it's because the publishers realize that, yes, a single person who's very interested in the topic that's being simulated is far more willing to get, into far deeper mechanics than two players would be, or four players might be. All right, so it looks like everything's laid out pretty nicely, and we've got examples of just about everything. So we've got our raid vector sequence, returning to base. So we've got our pilots in the campaign. I wonder if we're going to have, I would assume we have named pilots. So we got pilot experience, veteran privileges, discipline, practiced, I should say, maneuver, hold tight, stay trim, follow my lead, pluck. Give yourself a positive modifier, add +1 to a die roll. You can apply this to chase, interception, or a suppress escort check during a fate check, I guess I should say. So we have aces. And the ace skills: Lucky Charm, Slick, Innovator, Vision, Bloodhound. Right, so we also have Flak. This looks pretty cool. I know the other two games, Skies Above the Reich and Storm Above the Reich, have been very popular for GMT. Okay, so that's optional rules. Let's look at the situation manual. So this is going to have various different scenarios for us. So scenario 1, a flyby. Says August 1940, Flight Lieutenant Gordon Olive, a Flight 65 squadron, maneuvered above a formation of Junkers 88s when tracers indicated that I was being shot at, and I turned to meet a head-on attack by a lone Messerschmitt 109. We flew at each other, all guns going, and I ducked under him at the last moment. You are Gordon Olive, facing your enemy alone at the start of this dogfight. Can you bag your quarry? There you go. This is going to get you into the dogfighting rules. And we have tailed. So it looks like each of these gives us a historic situation. So then we have on their tail, RAF advantage and Luftwaffe advantage. Then we got our bomber scenarios. So these were all just dogfights. So we've got lame duck, finishing the job, a full basket, tally ho. So far we've got 14 scenarios up to this point. Then we got intercept scenarios, no escort. This looks pretty long. Oh, this is an example. So this is giving us an example of scenario 10. There we go. So we have escort. So this is also another example. We've got a patrol example. And I say it all the time, whenever I'm trying to learn a GMT game, I tend to take a look at the playbook and read that first, because it always has the examples of play. So we have our campaigns, skirmishing over the channel, hardest days, finest hour, and ebb of battle. So quite a lot in the situation manual for various different scenarios. Then we've got optionals. So we've got confirmed kills, weaving, random events, graduated replacements, break. So it looks like we have some optional maneuvers there. So it says RAF tie-in guide. For decades, John Butterfield's RAF, West End Games 1986 and Decision Games 2009, has remained a popular solitaire war game that covers the campaigns at the operational scale. This guide facilitates pairing RAF's Lion campaign with Skies Above Britain. That's pretty cool. That's pretty wild. It's not even a game that GMT makes. So that's interesting. And here we have, oh, here we go, historical pilot roster. And we get our designer notes. So those are our optional rules. Okay, so we only have one sticker sheet. So give you a far better look here. It's kind of cool. So, of course, as you can tell, these are for the RAF fighters. And I think the Luftwaffe planes are counters. So we have our pilot roster. So this is for Squadron 54. So then we get another pilot roster for Squadron 303. We have our sequence of play. That's really nicely laid out here. I like that. It's not just your typical, just, case points, just listing everything. They're actually showing what's going on and what does it lead to. So, raid vector sequence, interception sequence, dogfight cycle, bomber cycle. That's kind of interesting. I assume this is single-sided. No, it is not. So we have our vector marker results, what some of the other icons mean. We've got our maneuvers. And then we have the interception sequence. So it's giving us a breakdown of all of that. The orders phase, intercept phase, entropy phase, and the patrol complete. So we have all our info about pilots and our raid vector sequence. I assume we have dogfighter and interception. Okay, so here's the intercept bombers. So the formation's position, nose, flank, tail, and trailing. And then we have the intercept escort. Same formation positions there as well. There is a lot cooking in this game. Mr. ADT says this does look a little more complex than a 5. I rest my case. Even experienced wargamers would be looking at this saying, yeah, it looks like there's a lot to this. So here we have our circle display. Looks like we have more pilot rosters too. Oh, it's a pad. So we've got a pad of pilot rosters. So if you want to create your own, then we've got the different counters here. So as you can see, these are the Messerschmitt 109s and 110s. And it looks like the rest is informational counters. So we've got some damage counters there as well. So that's the first one. Then we get into the actual bombers. So these are the bomber formations. Just like so. Dual-sided. And they have different aircraft. So I just saw we have some Stukas and Junkers here. Let's see what we had on the back of these. And these are punched really nicely because they're popping right on out. So we've got Junkers and Dorniers. All right, so we've got that, and then we've got another counter sheet. And looks like these are probably formations of fighters there. And more informational counters too. So there is that. And then we've got our boards. We've got a couple of them because we have our squadron display. So we've got our green pilots, our regular pilots, our veteran pilots. So these are each of the sections and the flight leaders. Just looking to see what differences there are. Okay, so that is that. And then we have the actual game board. Here are those tiles that I was talking about, the blocks. So the black blocks are what you're going to put the fighter stickers on. And then we've got some blue blocks, which are altitude. I don't think you put stickers on that. So there is that stuff. We've also got some decks of cards. We've got a couple of 12-sided dice. Before we get into that, let's take a look at the main game board, which is single-sided. So this is where we've got a lot of our various different tables that we're going to be using up here. It's like we're going to place cards along the side. So RAF advantage, Luftwaffe advantage, escort reaction, head-on and tailing, tailed, and bombers. So we've got our interception map. We've got our fuel track, our raid track, raid vector sequence icons, our veteran privileges. So this is one of those sort of solitaire games that are really going to suck a player in. I'll tell you that right now, especially when you start doing campaign games and you've got your historical pilot roster. Of course, you could have, a fictional pilot roster too, but that's usually what starts pulling people in. It's like, it was funny when we used to play, this is way back, used to play B-17 Queen of the Skies from Avalon Hill. We would spend a lot of time, we would have little stories that would, evolve from just, a bunch of tables that you're rolling on. Okay, so we've got Luftwaffe advantage, we've got bomber cards, got RAF advantage. I might as well just open all these up at once, or I should say the 3 decks all at once. I'll tell you right now, the card stock on these is very nice. And there is a bit of a linen finish to these as well. Took me a second to feel it. And you really don't see it, but you can see, looking closer, you can see that these do have a little bit of a linen finish to them. All right, so these are tailed. And then these are escort reactions. So we're not going to look at each and every card in these decks, but let's get a feel for what these are. All right, so escort reaction. So it's going to show us the interception map, it looks like. And what these flights of bombers are going to do. All right, so some of those. Then we've got, let's take a look at the bomber. So this is how you're coming in. So it looks like this is like the size of the formation. So if you're coming like head on, if you're coming from the starboard or port side, or if you're tailing, and it shows medium, I'm assuming, talking about the size medium bombers. Yep, because then we have light. And of course, we've got all these different icons to tell us what's going on. Very interesting. Okay, let's take a look at tailed, just for the heck of it. So, I'm taking a guess. Is it all Spitfire here? No, we see Hurricanes too. So, once again, more of these icons. So, we've got Spitfires and we've got Hurricanes. Anything else in here? Nope. Yeah, Spitfires and Hurricanes in this deck. So then we got RAF Advantage. So these are with Spitfires, tailing, head on. Gonna have to learn what all these icons mean. But as we saw in the rules, it looks. Oh, wait a second. We've got more decks here. It wasn't all RAF Advantage. Hold on a minute there, WWII. Got a head on and tailing. And then we have the tailed. So there we go. So these are head on and tailing cards. So here we got our tailing, we've got our head on. So we also see down in the bottom here, Spitfire or Hurricane. Showing off some of these. As you can see, these are all different. So you're probably utilizing the cards as well as your dice. So I would take a guess the cards are probably telling you more than the dice will. So these are the RAF Advantage. So steady. Stay on them. Scatter. One RAF fighter may leave the section. It tails a rot. If no RAF fighter leaves, place one rot so it tails the section. Blast them! Section only. If RAF fighters are attacking out of the sun, add a damage result to the dogfight card results. Cool. So we've got that. So that's our RAF Advantage. And then we've got some Luftwaffe Advantage. And it seems like there's a few more Luftwaffe Advantage cards. Behind you. If heavy escort, add a rot. It tails your fighters. Stay on them. Another stay on them. Stay tight. Section only. Green pilot becomes independent and is tailed by a rot. Replace the swarm with another rot. Fingers off. A green fighter immediately becomes low ammo. Cool. And of course, then we've got this nice insert. GMT always puts together some cool looking inserts with, normally it's the box cover, but as opposed to just being just blank cardboard. All right, so we've got all of these various different dice. I did not notice, maybe I missed it. I didn't notice any little baggies. So I'll have to grab some to put these cards in before I put this off to the side. We've also got all of these. So we've got a cylinder here with the Iron Cross on it, or the German cross on it. We also have some colored cubes in here too. So I'll put that there. So you know what? I'll leave that. I think I can put these on top maybe. Or if I do this, I think that gives us enough space there. So we've got all the different punch boards with our counters and our fighters and our bomber formations. We've got our, I should have put the dice back in. Duh. Squeeze those on in there. Two 12-sided dice. Got our stickers. Got our optional rules, our situation manual, as well as our rule book. And all of that is what we find in Skies Above Britain when we take everything outside the box. Once again, this is available now. It is a solitaire game for ages 14 and up. Plays in 30 minutes or more. At least we know the patrols take about 30 minutes or more. Of course, it's going to depend on what kind of scenario you're looking to play. And this carries an MSRP of $99. Of course, I say this all the time when we're looking at GMT Games releases. If you have any interest at all in Skies Above Britain, do not hesitate. Pick it up now because these print runs are never huge and you don't want to find yourself sitting there waiting a couple of years for another print run or having to turn to the secondary market and paying top dollar for something you could have grabbed if you had acted sooner. Mr. AT says, a lot of gameplay in that box. It certainly does look to be the case. That is for certain. And there is a lot going on. But this kind of strikes me as one of those solitaire games that people would kind of set up on a side table and leave it up all the time. Hopefully they don't have cats or other pets that jump up on the tables. But I know a lot of people would do that with games like, say, like Phantom Leader or Warfighter, you know, the Dan Verson games, as well as a lot of the solitaire games from like GMT. I could easily see this being set up and just being left up to play from time to time. And like I said, a lot of wargamers do that kind of thing. All righty. So there you have it. Skies Above Britain. So next week on next Monday's show, we are going to take a look at Deal with the Devil. This is from Czech Games Edition, and it is a hefty box. It is a pretty heavy box, and it looks very, very interesting. I've mentioned this before. It's for exactly 4 players, and one of the players is the devil, but none of the other players know who the devil is. Only person who knows who the devil is the player playing the devil. So, and his artwork looks very cool too. It's very, very nice. Then on Tuesday, I'm going to unbox and take a first look at, it's going to take me a second to grab this, Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. Let's get some of the glare out of there. From Cryptozoic Entertainment. So this is the deluxe edition that has the miniatures and everything. And I actually picked this up at a local game store for $25. So I will talk about that on Tuesday because that was a smoking deal, because I believe, off the top of my head, I think this goes for like $99 or $109. So, yes, it was not sent to me as a review copy. In fact, I went and stopped in to check out a game store that's not far from me. It's about 12 minutes away. That somebody had told me had just opened up, and I guess it turns out it's been there like 5 months. So I went in, I was kind of chatting with the gentleman who was working there, and I noticed there was a little section and it was like 70% off. I was like, that's 70% off. And I looked and it was like $24.95. I was like, oh yeah, even if the game is trash, it's got some pretty cool minis in there. So, and of course, it's based on the Frank Miller graphic novel. Yes, The Dark Knight Returns. So that'll be on Tuesday. Wednesday, I have no idea. I honestly have no clue what's going on for Wednesday's show. I don't think it's going to be a War Game Wednesday, to be very honest with you. So, do want to mention that. So, would not be surprised if we take a look at a role-playing game, which is sort of funny because I said this year we're going to focus heavier on role-playing games, but the first 3 weeks we've sort of looked more at board games than role-playing games, but you'll see it'll happen. So Mr. Eddie T says, yeah, sweet deal. Yes. In case you're curious, Mr. Eddie T, it's in Oswego. Off the top of my head, I think it's called the Board Game Table or Tabletop Game Store, something like that. Kind of an odd title. So pretty nice store. Pretty cool. All right. Anyway, so that is it for this time out. So if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as today's review of Gran Mechanismo from Osprey Games. And the rest of this week and into the weekend, I will be reviewing Twilight Struggle Red Sea, as well as Cyborg from Free League Publishing. And of course, Twilight Struggle Red Sea is from GMT Games. Yes. Of course, don't forget, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. Of course, if you were watching live, thank you very much. If you took part in chat, much appreciated as well. Thank you kindly for not only keeping me company, but each other company too. But of course, I know a lot of people out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. Of course, everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it happens to be in your neck of the woods. Enjoy the rest of the week. Have a great weekend. Of course, I will be back Monday. Once again, we'll be looking at Deal with the Devil. And in case I don't see you before then, like you don't pop in to check out one of my reviews that I'll be releasing later on in the week, here's hoping each and every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.